Okay, so we look at the For Honor beta at 21/9. Now, being a new potential franchise for Ubisoft, this is obviously going to get a lot of scrutiny from players to see if it can live up to the quality of their other titles. And the first thing I can say for sure about it so far is that it's certainly unlike pretty much any game I've ever played. Anyway, before my thoughts, let's go over the ultra-wide support, which is, well, okay. Gameplay correctly shows off more on the sides with ultra-wide resolutions, and there is even an FOV slider to increase or decrease the amount you can see at once, which will be lovely for those of you who care about fine-tuning this. Personally, for third-person games, I'm rarely fussed about FOV levels, but it's a nice option nonetheless. The HUD is, I'm afraid, stuck to 16:9, which I can't deny is annoying as it encroaches quite notably into your view as there are a lot of HUD elements. Screen effects, thankfully, do use the entire screen space, so when damaged or healing, for example, you'll avoid getting any awkward cutting off effects at 16:9. However, to achieve this full screen coverage, the assets are stretched, and this is noticeable, but again, a minimal cost for achieving full screen coverage. All menus, so the main menu, in-game menus, things like customization screens and loading screens, they are all 16:9 with black bars on the sides. I'll admit it's not too bad, as having a multitude of varying screens, each with their own random level of ultra-wide support, can be annoying, so this continuity is pleasant to deal with, but at no point does it get close to the quality of if it were all ultra-wide. Come on, Ubisoft, I know you can do it, so just please scale out those menu elements and fill the background out. It looks lovely having no black bars. The only point where this black bar locking doesn't fully work is the multiplayer map overview, where a menu element extends over the left black pillar, but it really is a unique occurrence. Finally, when screens such as when you're dead and looking over the battlefield and panning from one side to the other, this is completely ultra-wide, and so too are the tutorial pop-up screens, which just have the tips appearing as a strip down the right-hand side. No black bars jumping in and out. And cutscenes, albeit they are very short, these too are ultra-wide, which I won't deny was a pleasant surprise. The last point I want to say about gameplay is I'm really not a fan of the focus effect, which introduces black bars at the top and bottom of the screen. It just feels like it's narrowing your vision unnecessarily, and yes, I get that it's kind of the point, it's supposed to be focusing your view, but they could have done it better. Performance-wise, it runs damn well, especially for a beta and especially for a Ubisoft title. I stuck everything as high as it could go, and whilst the game looked gorgeous, I was able to maintain just under 60 FPS at all times, hovering about 57 to 58, which is perfect for my G-Sync monitor at 3440x1440 on a GTX 980 Ti. However, that said, there is one map in particular, River Fort, which clearly outmatches every other map in its beauty, and in doing so, smashes FPS significantly more. I was forced down to the 40s here, and you really do need to drop a number of settings to recover that FPS. Thankfully, I didn't notice much of an FPS hit by having many AI running around on screen, and there were very minimal FPS fluctuations as you moved about just generally. It wasn't jumping from 70 to 40 and 70 again as you looked around, giving you a constant frame rate to work with, which is lovely. All in all, it's a gorgeous game, and I have no complaints about performance. Now, I have to preface this with a disclaimer that before I continue, I haven't been able to play this for as many hours as I would have liked to before the beta ran out. I had to go on a bit of a road trip to Birmingham over the weekend, so I got to play the tutorial before I left, and then when I returned, I got to play about 2 hours of multiplayer. This meant that it took me a while to remember all of the controls again. But nonetheless, I do feel like I got a good taste of what this has to offer. I'm just going to make sure that I stay completely open-minded for the full release. As I always say, judging a game on its beta is a crazy thing to do. So my initial opinion after playing is this really hasn't grabbed me. I haven't been thinking about it since I stopped playing and wished that I could go and jump back and play more. I do love the setting, the maps have been beautifully realised, though they are rather small, and the fighting has clearly got some serious depth, and it is very difficult with a steep learning curve and a full roster of move lists to attack, block, break, and so forth to overcome the enemy. You also accumulate extra D-pad abilities like healing circles or throwing bombs, etc. There are also 3 game modes on offer, 1v1, 2v2 and 4v4, which was easily my favourite, where you had a load of small soldiers fighting out as well as the 4 of you versus the 4 enemies, and it just made the world feel far more alive. I also love the fact that you had a number of serious opponents to combat instead of just a single person that you had to take on one-on-one. But as I say, regardless of all that is on offer, it still hasn't grabbed me. The fighting doesn't feel unique in any real way. It doesn't feel particularly satisfying, and especially the little soldiers, whom you simply are just tasked with repeatedly tapping the attack button in order to easily demolish the whole horde of them. Though, to begin with, this is rather fun, but it does soon get a bit of a bore. Yeah, it just all felt rather forgettable. Customization wise, there is quite a lot of stuff to do. I played just by randomizing loadouts as I wanted to experience as much of a variety as possible. Your option between different characters to play as is pretty obvious too. Vikings, for example, are generally the big, heavy, hard-hitting, slow warriors, whilst you have a mix of medium speed and medium attack, and light attack and nimble warriors, so you should be able to find your favorite type. You can also customize your maps in small ways like the weather and the difficulty of enemies, which I must say, the AI has been done very well. They proved to be a proper challenge and acted very much like humans would, ganging up on individuals and spreading out over the battlefield to sneakily take a point whilst you're distracted elsewhere. At no point did I find them being stupid or just think that humans would never be able to pull off what they've done. All in all, I can give For Honor a WideAsFcuk score of only 2. There are simply too many black barred and 16:9 locked moments, but it's no mess of a title at 21:9, that's for sure. Gameplay wise though, as it's probably very clear, I don't know how to feel about this. It could very well just be a personal thing and you guys love it, which would be fantastic. And let me know down below what you guys think of it if you played it. But I'm certainly going to have to wait for the full release and hope that that grabs me in a way that this didn't. A very real possibility, as many a beta has paled in comparison to the final product, so I shan't let this affect my final verdict. Anyway, I hope that gives you some information on how the game runs at 21:9. Give this video a like if you found it helpful, and subscribe for future info. For any of the games at 21:9, head over to my channel. Hopefully I've covered it. If I haven't, then leave a comment down below and I'll try and cover it. And if you'd like to support the channel, then links to my Patreon page are in the description. See you later.
You captured Zone C. You lost Zone A. You captured Zone C, Zone A. You captured Zone C. You lost Zone A. Lost Zone A. lost Zone C. You captured Zone A. You've got my thanks. You lost Zone C. You captured Zone A. You captured Zone C.